It's your girl, Nikki.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone, for tuning
Baby
in today.
Nikki.
I don't know about baby, but yeah. I appreciate that. We have the Vasquez. Yeah, we have the Vasquez's in the studio today, Sammy and DelRae. We just finished talking to Sammy about, how he got into boxing and being in the military, but now I kind of want to focus towards wifey, meeting him, and how is it maintaining a household for a boxer, a military man? Like, what kind of pressures what was the pressures that you dealt with keeping him strong?
Well, in the very beginning, I think the biggest thing was
Patience.
Finances, right? And boxing doesn't pay a lot when you first get started. Thankfully, my father-in-law went and got his promotional license, so he was able to put on a lot more shows, I feel like, than a lot of boxers get the opportunity to have when they first start out.
Mm-hmm.
But aside from that, I was working full-time. We had 3 kids at this time, plus our house, and he was traveling in and out, so I really had to hold down the fort, almost like a single parent, in all honesty. And then he would come home and, we would pay everything in advance because you don't know when you're going to fight again. And so we just continued that cycle until he was able to financially provide for us on his own with fights. And then I stepped away and I just became a stay-at-home mom for pretty much the end of boxing. And then, I'm a working girl. I love to work.
Uh-huh.
I don't really like staying home. That's a whole nother type of level of hardness.
Yeah, but being a stay-at-home mom, that's a lot of work too. But during that time, you got your realtor's license, correct?
No, I didn't get my real estate license until almost 4 years ago.
Oh, okay.
So I did a lot of time in the medical industry.
Okay.
So a lot of my time was doing urgent care, home health care, that sort of work.
Yeah, that's normally the stuff that keeps us thriving as moms and stuff, and
right.
keeps the money flowing in and things.
Mm-hmm.
So I know you had a nice little record, Sammy, but has he ever came home beat up real bad, or you were losing it? Because I couldn't imagine you come home all beat up and stuff, and I gotta wound you back. How is it dealing with that?
In the beginning, he really didn't come home too banged up because in the beginning I couldn't travel with him.
Okay.
But as his career progressed and he had these harder fights, it was really hard, to sit there and see the wounds and the healing and everything take place. At the end there, I was able to go to every fight, but so I was very much in his presence, but
Mm-hmm.
it was really hard to deal with the aftermath. His very last fight where he suffered his knockout. That is some it'll make me tear up now, but that is some straight to your stomach dropping pain on a wife level.
Yeah, that has to be hard to see that. And then even the mental.
Yeah, because you're not allowed to go into the rings. Even after the fights, when they get to a certain level,
Mm-hmm.
they don't allow even a spouse to get into the ring. So for me to have to sit there in the crowd and just wait and watch, that's really hard, because as his wife, you just want to go in there.
Go off on everybody.
Yeah.
Hold your baby and make sure he's good.
But I will say one of the biggest thing is we are people of faith, and Collazo, thank goodness for him, because since he was able to be in the ring, he literally dropped down to his knees and prayed over Sam, and I will always cherish that.
Yeah, because prayer is what we need to get through and to survive and to heal,
I'm a crybaby, I'm sorry.
Oh, no. Hey, I'm an emotional thug, too. It's okay. You have to let those tears out, But I've never really got to talk to a wife that's dealt with a boxer and things like that. And so those are some of the questions I want to know, just watching him go through that and coming home and things like that. Because it's got to be hard, And then the military on top of that, So you were in military while you were boxing, right?
Yeah.
So you already got the stresses of being in the military. Then you got the boxing, and then just life in general.
Yeah.
And you said you suffer from PTSD. How are you doing with your mental health now? How did you guys work through the mental health issues and building your mental health and getting stronger? Better?
In the beginning, he didn't even realize he had PTSD.
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So she wasn't with me during, when I deployed to Iraq. So I deployed to 506 in 2008, 2009, into 19 Delta. My first tour, I was part of QRF, which is the Quick Reaction Force. And then the second tour, we just did a lot of route reconnaissance and raids on high value targets, things like that. So I met her when I got into the boxing side of stuff. So she dealt with a lot of stuff of my like anger, after effects, right? Depression, anxiety, and so she learned how to like my triggers very quickly from the from the jump. But then I was always like, I don't need help, I'm fine, I'm good. You know what I mean? Like I don't have a problem. You know what I mean? And to the point where it affected my marriage so much that it was like, hey, listen, you either get help or like we can't be together. Like I just can't, you know. And so that's when I started getting into counseling, like therapy. So I've been into therapy. I've been getting like doctors, you know, checkups, you know, on my body and all that stuff. TBI. So I'm in the process now doing CT scans and all that stuff. DelRae and myself were in couples therapy because I think, you know, a lot of that rocks your foundation in a stable relationship or a marriage. You know what I mean? And you know, I'll always fight for my marriage no matter what.
Got to. There's so much stuff trying to destroy marriages. You got to.
Well, and people are so quick to quit now. You know what I mean? And then it's like you don't see those marriages that last 50, 60 years and they've never not said the divorce word before. You know what I mean? Like but at the end of the day, DelRae was the foundation of our relationship because she should have left me a long time ago because of the things that I put her through.
Yes.
But she continued to stay with me and allow me to fight for our marriage and sit into couples therapy with me and build our foundation again, you know what I mean, to make it, you know, stronger. So I'm very thankful for the woman that she is, going through the careers of me starving and you know, cutting weight and me being angry all the time and giving her attitudes and, you know, my kids dealing with all my, you know, stress and like it takes a strong woman to be able to handle all that stuff and, you know, God put her in my life for a reason, and I needed her.
Yes, congratulations. And just like you said, so you stay like you. I don't want to say ultimatum, but you gave him a reflection of itself. You know what I'm saying? So thank you for doing that and holding it down. But how did that affect you as being the woman of the household and being his strength? Like, what other things were you doing to make sure your household was okay?
So I think a lot of it is, you know, my parents really raised me in a traditional manner, you know, very old school. The wife, you know, takes care of the house and takes care of her husband. My mother always told me, like, nobody comes before my husband, not even you kids. And so just really focusing on that was really important. But as I started seeing all of these things take place, and my mother was in the Air Force, my father served in the Army, a huge portion of my family served in the military as well. I started like seeing these things where he would do these little triggers, and I'm like, no, that's definitely, like, he definitely has PTSD, and I would bring it up to him, he's like, no, I don't, no, I don't, no, I don't, and then it got to the point where I'm like, hey, like, I just can't, this is for myself, this is for our children, like, we can't continue on in this manner, so it's either this or this, and there's no other option.
And he took the action.
Yeah, and then when he started taking action on his level, then I really started throwing myself into Fort Carson. I can't think of what it's called now because it's been years since I've participated, but Fort Carson actually puts on caregiving workshops where wives and even military husbands can go, and they learn the tools of how to take care of themselves, because so much of our time and energy is focused on taking care of our soldier and their needs and their triggers and all of these things that we really will let ourselves go because we're so consumed in making sure that they're okay. And they put on these workshops to teach you breathing skills, to teach you hobbies, to find like little ways that you can take time outs and really just dive into yourself also to make sure that you're taking care of your needs.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you guys recognize the signs, how to kick in and help each other. Because like you say, when it comes to marriage, a lot of people give up. You know what I'm saying? Because I've been married for 22 years. We've been together for 25. And like you say, people think you don't go through things. So being around people that put up the fight, like, it's like, no, it hasn't always been, you know, those early, you know, sunrises and, you know, smelling good birds and tweeting and all that. Some days you try not to, like a lot of people, like, oh, we don't go to bed mad at each other. Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Say that lie if you want to. We didn't woke up mad off of last night too. You ain't getting no breakfast this morning, okay?
And I think social media has changed a ton when it comes
Yep.
to marriages, but also like the social media aspect of the algorithm just like feeding you all that negativity.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah, it definitely does. So we talked about boxing, we talked about mental health. I want to get into, because you did a lot of things. You got your business opening up, you got some cornhole events coming up. So we're going to talk about that next. So you guys stay tuned in to Gnarly 101 while we're here with the Vasquez's.